To our fellow cleaning professionals, we know our industry does not get a lot of respect. We're so glad you're here. We make this free content for you. We understand the challenges of the industry. If you've gotten value out of this, please subscribe. And for those business owners you know, team members you know, share this podcast with them. Let's get back to the doc. Folks, we're back and we're starting a new series called Blurry Lines. Joel, we discussed services that bump up against janitorial, custodial services, but aren't janitorial and custodial services.
But a lot of companies think they are.
Right. So pest control was one of the places that we went to recently.
Pest control actually comes up quite a bit where people think that we have direct influence over the pests that come into a building. A client had reached out to me and said, oh, I have either gnats or I have fruit flies and you need to remove them tonight. Well, great.
Now, you and I had a conversation around this because I have a background in pest control.
And that's the first part I did once I got the email was, all right, I know a certain amount because I work with companies like when you were at the pest control company. So I know a lot about other industries, but I'm not an expert in those areas. So I reached out to you. I did some additional research. And your first comment to me was, well, were they gnats or were they fruit flies? And my question back to you was, well, I don't know. And you said, well, it makes a big difference, between what you had told me as well as my own research to figure out what's the difference between gnats and fruit flies and what attracts them and what are the things that we as a cleaning company might be able to do to help remedy the situation. So can a cleaning company help with the pest control side of things? Absolutely we can, because if we're not doing our jobs right and we're not replacing liners and we're not cleaning the insides of trash cans when there's leakages or seepage of food or water or anything like that gets into a liner and may go past the liner into a trash can, if we're not doing those things right, then yes, there is a possibility that things are going to be attracted in. But other things, as fruit flies, they're like bed bugs. They ride.
Yeah.
They come in on the fruit that people bring in for their breakfast, their lunch, their snacks. And then when people are not throwing it out in the appropriate areas, if they're throwing it out in their own waste can at their desk or out on a sales floor or a factory floor or something like that, it's going to draw fruit flies potentially into other areas of the building.
Right.
In addition to this particular time and doing research on what you told me was that humidity has a big impact on the production of fruit flies. And we were coming off of one of the highest humid times in our city for the year. So it would only make sense why there was an issue. And then with gnats, they're attracted to biologicals, meaning plants. Well, they do have live plants in the facility as well. And that would, fall again in either the pest control side of things or potentially with anybody who, if they hire an outside vendor that's working with the plants.
Right, because there are businesses that specifically do that.
Yes, and those are not areas that we have. But again, when we did our research, we really did find out it was the fruit flies and not gnats. But it was important to understand the difference so that we could help research and find out why.
But it seems to me really the greatest area of concern when we had our conversation was the legalities of it. Yes, identify the pest so you can determine, what to do. For many pests,
yes,
housekeeping is the place that the pest control company or the exterminator is going to go to first. Please go clean this up. Now, that's in your purview professionally as a janitorial, services company. What's not is laying down anything that remotely resembles pesticides because you're not an applicator. And I don't know a commercial cleaner that is. You can get in a lot of trouble with the DEC.
Correct, and that's where the blurry line comes.
Right,
is people think we can just pick up some Raid at the corner store or the do-it-yourself place and come in and spray it. But because it's a poison and you're killing things, what are you doing to the people in the building? What's the liability? And if I were to do those types of things, my insurance company would cancel me in a heartbeat.
Yep.
So it's like you think that you want to take care of the client, but really taking care of a client is educating a client and allowing them to understand where your responsibility comes up to and bumps up against another industry and where that industry has to take over. So if I'm doing everything that I can and the problem continues, then you have to talk to the other company because in this case you have to have licenses because you are working with poisons and you're placing them. And I know from talking to you and other people in the industry that you have to document, well, I put this poison and this amount of that poison in this facility on this day at this time.
And I came back and checked it at this day and this time. Joel, it seems like in this topic, we are sharing two equally important paths for the cleaning company owner. He or she needs to go to the customer. We've identified this. We're performing the housekeeping services that we need to. That's what we are allowed to do. The other, for the cleaning company owner, is being networked to someone who is in extermination, in pest management. Because not only is that an easy business referral, but that's very likely someone who's also calling on other businesses who can send work back and forth to you.
That's correct. And we work with a company in the Rochester market right now called Ladybugs, and it's owned by Dara Renner. I've known Dara for years because she's also a commercial real estate agent, which makes sense on why she got into pest control. But working with her and her technicians and her salespeople, we're able to better network across Monroe County and the other counties in the area because of that.
Excellent advice, Joel, and great outreach both to local business and for cleaning company owners.
Thank you, sir.